Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have received a lot of requests for doing a bra making tutorial, and so that is what I plan to bring you today. I'm going to break it up into a couple of sections. First, we're going to talk about the different parts of the bra, the sort of materials that you're going to need. Then we're going to go into the construction of the cup and cradle. Then we're going to follow that up with adding your elastics in, and then finally the hook and eye and straps on the final day. So first, let's talk about patterns. I have a lot of different patterns, mostly from the companies Orange Lingerie, Cloth Habit, and Madeline. So the Madeline patterns are all available through Simplicity. I have a couple of her patterns. I have the 8228 and the 8229 pattern, and then I have I can't remember the pattern number, but it's a plunge bra with a partial band. I can insert a picture here of the pattern. So I've had a lot of luck with these patterns, but I definitely would say that they're for smaller chested women. So the next ones I have are from Cloth Habit, and I have the Watson bra. We'll put a picture of that here. And the Watson bra has no underwire. It is a soft cut bra, so a lot of people will start out with this because they think it's easier. But if I'm going to be honest with you, bra construction is kind of the same regardless. I don't think it's any easier. The only difference is you don't have to do the underwire channeling. But for the most part, it's very, very similar construction. So the Watson bra, I also have the Harriet bra pattern from Cloth Habit. Both of these are very good. And then I have three patterns from a company called Orange Lingerie. I have the Berkeley bra, which is great for using lace, and I can get a whole bra out of a yard of lace, which is really, really nice. I have the Fenway bra. I have made one rough draft of this bra, but I haven't completely figured that one out yet. And finally, I have the Marlborough Bra, which is what I will be showing today. All bra patterns tend to be very, very similar. There's just a little bits of changes in between them. So any of the construction methods that I'm showing in this video should work for whatever bra pattern you decide to use. But if you would like to see any of those patterns demonstrated, please let me know in the comments section. For this demonstration, I will be using a kit that I purchased from Microtex. I actually don't recommend using a Microtex kit if it's your first time sewing a bra or you're a little bit of a beginner, just because I find that the materials that are included in the kit aren't necessarily what I think you should be using. They tend to not include a couple of things, and so I always supplement it with some fabrics from my stash. And if you're just starting out, you probably don't have a lot of fabrics in your stash. I would highly recommend, if it's your first time, using a kit from somewhere else that's just a little bit more expensive. If you're in the US, TaylorMade Shop has great kits, and they're super generous for me, as well as Art Crafts. If you're in the UK or any of the European countries, I am in love with a company called Beware out of Sweden. I get the stuff shipped here to the US, and it is quite reasonable shipping, and the prices on their items are amazing. So I'm going to link a lot of the suppliers' information down in the description box below in case you need to buy any of those materials. Now let's get into cutting your pattern pieces out. So I have a couple quick tips on cutting out your fabric. The first is that I would definitely recommend investing in a smaller diameter rotary cutter. Just having this smaller diameter helps you cut curves a lot tighter and just get the pattern piece a lot more accurate. So when you're looking at your pattern pieces, you're going to see an omnidirectional arrow, and if you're familiar with garment sewing, normally this means that that is going to be the grain line of the fabric, but in bra sewing, that arrow indicates the direction of greatest stretch. It's sometimes abbreviated DOGS, D-O-G-S. So you want to look at your fabric, you want to give it a stretch either way and figure out which one's your greatest stretch. And this fabric that I'm going to be using for this bra, the stretch goes this way, so that's the way we want the arrow to point as well. So I'm going to lay my piece of fabric or pattern down. A lot of people say that you should trace it out and then cut it, but I haven't had much luck with that. Also, I'm a little bit lazy, so I just like to hold my pattern piece down and cut it. I mean, all these pattern pieces are pretty tiny, so I mean, you're not really going to get that much shift. You can get pretty tight in on that. Oops. You can see it's just fairly easy to cut it out as such. If you really want to do a tracing, I would recommend transferring the pattern over to something thicker like an oak tag or poster board, and that way you'll have a more firmer line to trace around. A tip for the lace is that all of your lace is going to have a scalloped edge. When I'm transferring over my pattern piece, I always make sure to draw in where my 1/4 inch seam allowance is, especially on the center front. Because what you want to do is you want to find the lowest point of your scallop and line that up with your 1/4 inch seam allowance. That way when you're sewing the bra, you know that this excess bit that starts going up again on the scallop, that's going to be in your seam allowance, but it's going to meet at the very lowest point in the center front. And that just makes sure that the lace on the top looks perfect. So here's everything cut out. I always like to lay my pattern pieces out like this just so I can get a good idea of what I've cut and what I still have to cut. So this is 3-piece cup. You have a side piece, which is going to be a seamed in power bar, this front piece, and then a top lace piece. The general rule of thumbs for bras is that the more pieces you have into a cup, the better shaping you get, especially when you start getting into larger bust sizes. But I generally stick to around 2 or 3 piece cups. But like if you decide that you want more curve or rounder appearance, you can always split a piece that you have into 2, and then it gives you a better curve. So like the more pieces you have, the better shaping you'll get. So in addition to the cups, we have this centerpiece here, which is called the bridge, sometimes called the gore. This really needs to be stable. If you don't stabilize anything else, definitely stabilize this. On the sides of that, you're going to have part of your cradle. When these are sewn together, it forms the cradle, and this is where the underwire will sit. And then you have the back band, or sometimes it's called the wing. Some patterns will have the wing and this side cradle all as one piece, or you can have it separate. It doesn't really matter. So in addition to the fashion fabric, so this fabric is all lycra. It's a very thin, lightweight lycra. So I am actually underlining the bra, not underlining, but lining the bra completely. You want the front part of the bra to be stable. So I've cut it all out, all the pieces out again, and this matching tricot, which is pretty stable. I mean, it does have just the slightest amount of mechanical stretch, but not a ton. And then the wings I'm going to be backing with Powernet, and this does not come in the kit from Microtex. So I would definitely recommend supplementing a Microtex kit with Powernet for your wings, because you really want something that's nice and firm but still has some stretch. Ideally, you'd be looking for about 30 to 50% stretch in the wing. In addition to the fabric requirements, the following elastic notions will be needed. This is a plush picot elastic, which will be used for the lower band. This is generally the widest elastic included in a kit. You need to look for something that's at least 1/2 inch up to 3/4 inch. A smaller picot elastic, which will be used for the underarms and upper band. Look for something that's about 3/8 inch to 1/2 inch. Plush underwire channeling. I prefer to use an underwire channeling that has a slight amount of stretch, as I think it makes it easier to work into that curve shape. band elastic, and corresponding 2 rings and 2 sliders. My band is 3/8 of an inch, and so I have 3/8 of an inch sliders. Though if you are larger cup size, I would recommend using a wider strap, such as a 1/2 or 3/4 of an inch. Skinny elastic. This is used to stabilize the upper edge of the lace cup. You can also use a clear skinny elastic or your picot from your underarm. Hook and eyes. My kit came with a 2x3 hook and eye, which means 2 rows and 3 columns. Generally, I would prefer to use a 3x3, and if you are a larger cup size, I would definitely recommend getting a 3x3. Lastly, you will need some underwires fit to you. These are generally not included with any bra kits, so you will need to buy them separately. Lots of patterns have information on the type of wires that you should get. For the Marlborough Bra, I will be using just a classic day wire. That's all for today. Come back tomorrow when we start sewing things together.